All right, welcome back, everybody. Be sure to sign up for the Rod Squad newsletter. It drops every Sunday afternoon. It's free, and you can sign up now at rodpedersen.com, brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time, just like Jim Lang's smile. Happy Monday, Jim. Black Mondays continue in the National Football League. Another firing today with the Bills getting rid of Sean McDermott. Are you surprised?
Well, yes and no. I mean, no job is safe in the National Football League or pro sports, Rod. And unfortunately for Sean McDermott, this was the worst year to have a loss like that in the playoffs. When you see the Ravens are out, no Patrick Mahomes. If you're ownership and senior management of the Buffalo Bills, you're thinking we have a clear path to the Super Bowl. And then in a game like that, 2 picks, 2 fumbles lost, mistake after mistake, the questions about the play calling, decision making, it should not even come down to was it a catch, was it a fumble? They should have had that game sewn up beforehand. And the fact of the matter is he was 500 in the postseason. He had too many heartbreaking losses. And the Bills are looking at the window of Josh Allen and realizing they needed to make a change to maximize this elite talent who can't play forever. And eventually he going to get old, going to get hurt. They'll have to look at another quarterback. But here you have an MVP caliber quarterback in the prime of his career, and they want to bring a new coach in to take it to the next level because under McDermott, fair or not, great regular seasons and just heartbreak after heartbreak in the playoffs, Rod.
Do you think he coaches right away a la John Harbaugh or steps back a la Mike Tomlin?
Well, I personally think that the Las Vegas Raiders and Tom Brady are burning up their cell phone data right now trying to hire him. I would think there's a few teams that would look long and hard at Sean McDermott. I know some coaches are like, I'm going to take some time. I think Sean McDermott feels like he's still a top-level coach in the National Football League and wants a chance to prove to himself and the rest of the league and the Buffalo Bills that they made a mistake about him. So I would think he's going to be hired in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what our poll question today is. Who's going to go on to win Super Bowl 60 as we're down to the Final Four now? Seahawks, Rams, Patriots, Broncos. Who would you vote for in that?
Whew. I mean, whoever wins between the Seahawks and Rams are winning the Super Bowl. So I'm going to lean towards the Seahawks with a question mark because I'm worried about Sam Darnold and that oblique injury. And, Sean McVay and the Rams went into a brutal situation with brutal weather conditions and gutted out a tough win on the road. And now they're going to Seattle where, yeah, it's chilly, but it's not Chicago, Lake Michigan weather. And, Matt Stafford and some of the weapons that they have in LA, it'll be a challenge. But had Bo Nix not get hurt, you would think the Broncos have a good chance. But don't count out Mike Vrabel and the Patriots. What Mike Vrabel's done with Drake May and the Patriots in this postseason, his coaching job, I think he's serving notice that no one expected the Vrabel May Patriots to turn it around as rapidly as they have, to be such an elite team in the AFC as rapidly as they have. But I think it speaks volume to the kind of person, coach, and football IQ that Mike Vrabel has. So I know, but I heard you saying earlier the polls overwhelmingly in favor of the Seahawks. But say the Patriots get through the Broncos, they're going to have to go to their backup quarterback. I wouldn't be so quick to bet against the Patriots because of Mike Vrabel.
Well, I'll tell you something. Okay, just for fun, I'm sitting down here in South Florida, and the Dolphins fans, They are an aggrieved bunch. Not as bad as New York Jets fans, but close. It's been a long time for a Super Bowl for
very
both.
Close.
And they're sitting there looking at the Patriots going, how that? How did they bottom out, get a third overall pick, and be right back at the top of the AFC again?
It's who's your coach? They use the term culture. So Vrabel, right away, the culture, he does a lot of little things from all his years in the NFL as a player, as an assistant coach, as a head coach. He's learned a lot. You listen to a lot of the podcasts, and they would say as a player, he was a bit of a goofball, practical joker, a lot of, but through all the funny stuff he did in the meeting room as a player, he soaked in everything valuable that he needed to, and has taken the best bits here and there, and has built something there. McDaniel's problem with Miami for the Dolphins is they never had that feel the Dolphins that the Patriots have with Vrabel. And it's nothing to do with X's and O's or does he know football enough or not. You're not going to be a coach at the NFL level without knowing something about X's and O's and playbooks. But you are also, you're like John Hamm and Mad Men. You're a salesman. You are selling your vision, your type of football to the team. Look what Mike McDonald's done in Seattle. In a couple of years, he's definitely done it with the Seahawks. Yeah. And Vrabel's done it in New England. And I mean, to me, that is one of the biggest things that teams are looking for, that when as a media member, as a fan, as an opposing player, when you go play them, you know what you're going to face. You know what kind of team they're going to be, and this is how they act on and off the field. And I mean, if I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, I'm like, we fired him. We got rid of him. Like, why didn't we give him a chance? Years ago, there was a lot of people in Dallas in the 1960s who wanted ownership to get rid of the coaching staff and get rid of Tom Landry. And the owner said, no, we're going to give him a 5-year extension. And things got better and better, and they became the team, one of the, along with the Steelers and the Cowboys were the teams of the 70s. And this is where, as in life, everything's fast. We want results immediately. Sometimes you have to stick it out as an ownership management and let them build something. It doesn't always work quick, but you realize, I mean, if I'm the Titans, like, we could have had that. We could have had that. I mean, they don't have Drake May, but at least they have something there with Mike Vrabel. And so that to me, Rod, is a big part of it, is in all levels of pro sports, is the coach selling himself, selling what the vision is, the players buying in. They're buying in Seattle, and they're definitely buying in New England, how they're doing things.
Yeah, I understand there's some connection issues. You're coming through fine. I hope that you get all of what I'm going to say here. It would be an experiment or a thesis in the way people think. You say, what are the fans thinking in Nashville? I'm wondering what the owners are thinking. The Adams family. I would pay money to know what they're thinking that they fired this guy.
Yeah, but the owner has a say in that. If I'm the GM and there's money owed, I have to go to you, the owner, and say, hey, Rod, I'm getting rid of, that's coach. I know you're going to have to pay him a year, 2 more years, but I think we need to make a change. So that's a meeting with the general manager and the team president and the owner. So then the owner has to sign off on, like, okay, we have a big meeting. Okay, I'll pay him what he's owed, and then let's make the change. I mean, there are certain pro sports teams right now who have new coaches are still paying 1, 2, 3 other coaches under contract. And not all owners can afford that, but the owners have a big say in that. And I mean, they showed Robert Kraft a lot in the private suite in the owner's box in the big Patriots win as they beat the Texans. And, whatever you think of him, it's, Robert Kraft, his son, their management system, their GM, the personnel, Vrabel, the head coach, but it's everyone. It's everyone. For years with the Broncos, had Pat Bowlen, the Edmonton native. I mean, he was sort of like the foundation of those great Broncos teams. And I just think that there's so many big financial decisions to be made, especially in the head coaching decision, that those things don't happen without the owner being a privy to it or maybe a big part of it.
NFL pundit Jim Lang with us. I'm fascinated in this NFC Conference Championship game because, as you recall, Week 17, Seattle and LA, and a Thursday night go to overtime. And the Seahawks were 3 for 3 in second down 2-point converts. In that football. That was a galvanizing win for the Seahawks. And the football people say it's so hard to beat a team back-to-back or 3 times in a season. I got to think the Seahawks have the advantage in this game. I really do, no matter a back-to-back. But how do you read it?
Well, they're at home, and they have Cooper Kupp at wide receiver. And I think that's a big advantage for the Seahawks because of his intimate knowledge of Sean McVay and the Rams, their systems, their play calling. He'll help the offense and the defense. Matt Stafford's still an elite level quarterback. I just hope that Sam Darnold's healthy and at least 85% health for game time. But one of the names that's not being talked enough about is the play of DeMarcus Lawrence, who was great in that playoff win over the 49ers and come over after that long run of the Cowboys, and he's really solidified the front seven of the Seahawks. The management, the coaching staff, they've put together, use that term, a wagon. It's a 14-win team in the regular season. We shouldn't be shocked at how well they played against the 49ers and the Rams. And this is, to me, was the theme of the playoffs this weekend. The Seahawks were the only team that didn't turn the ball over, Rod. Every other team, fumbles, interceptions. And if they don't turn the ball over again and they're at home, the Seahawks will be extremely tough to beat.
Just a word. I love C.J. Stroud. He's under a lot of heat for his performance for Houston yesterday. How hot should it be?
Well, it should be hot. 4 picks in the first half. The way that defense plays and how well they played, they still kept them in the game somehow after all those turnovers. And I mean, yes, the other team is going to try to force you to turn the ball over, make plays, strip sacks, disguise the coverages so you read the wrong thing and throw the ball wrong. But that whole concept that Tom Brady talks about of ball security, and all the coaches talk about ball security and making the smart play, it is magnified tenfold in the postseason. And, a one and done game like that on the road in clement weather, that's just, you can't recover from that no matter how much of an athlete and how good of a talent you are. So that's something they'll have to revisit in the offseason with him as a player, Stroud, the coaching staff, his recognition of opposing defenses, his decision making, because he could be the most talented guy in the world. If you keep turning the ball over, you can't win it. Think about the reason Joe Montana is the legend as he is. 4 Super Bowls, never threw a pick. 0 interceptions in 4 Super Bowls. And it's not so much what you do in these huge playoff games, it's what you don't do. And if you take a sack as opposed to throwing a pick, if you play it safe, 3 and out, punt the ball and play it safe, it's better than throwing that pick and fumbling that ball, because that's a free field position for the opposing team. And that's something that Stroud has to learn. And they have to coach him up that way. And he's got to get that feel, that sixth sense, and that comes with time. He's only 23. And if you look at the great quarterbacks over time, the reason so many people were frustrated with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and some of those elite quarterbacks like that and Patrick Mahomes, defensive players would be steaming off the corner, and at the last second, they could feel it and just took that half step out of the way so the defensive player goes by and they make the pass. And that's the difference between good and great and elite quarterbacks, is that sense in the pocket. Your eyes are down the field. Pressure's coming, but you're not taking your eyes off where you want to throw the ball. You just get out of the way long enough. You don't have to run around 40, 50 yards, just enough to let them go by you and make that play. And that's something Stroud has to learn.
I think he will. He's a smart kid. He's got the tools. They've done great things since he's been there. Hey, I love talking NFL with you, but I love talking Leafs hockey as well. They've got Minnesota in there tonight. It's always drama-filled in Leafland. What's your take on the first half of the season for Toronto, and what are they going to do in the second half, do you think?
By mid-December, it was getting really ugly in Toronto. And then they started to turn things around, and I believe they're 7-1-2 in their last 10 games. The win in Winnipeg with Matthew setting up Max Domi for the GWG, they come into it. They're just 1 point out of the wild card. The temperature has dropped in Toronto with the Leafs. They can see that the longer as the goaltending's healthy, they're starting to understand each other. And I think they're starting to understand Craig Berube, to be honest with you. And I know it's a second year there, but, sometimes modern athletes don't like being told that they're doing something wrong. They don't like being told that, I'm the coach, you're the player. I don't think you're right, so I'm going to make a correction. And I think they're starting to understand each other from the coaching standpoint and the player standpoint. And you cannot discount that when they got rid of Mark Savard, that they have played far better in the power play and far better offensively when they removed Mark Savard from the coaching staff. And it feels like a different hockey team since he left.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. To me, I thought he was just the sacrificial lamb that every team has to fire somebody, but maybe there's something to it. Did they have the talent, Jim? Like in your mind, from you've been watching it long enough and written enough books on that team, you know them inside out. Are they good enough?
They're good enough to make the playoffs. They'll have to make a deal at the deadline if they think they're going to do something in the postseason. I think what everyone in the East has to understand is what Kucherov and John Cooper and what Tampa Bay's doing with the Lightning. Wow. Wow. I mean, everyone's talking about Nate McKinnon in Colorado, but John Cooper and the Lightning have been phenomenal this year. And now you have to understand if you're Treliving and Berube and the Leafs, what deal can we make to make the Leafs competitive with the Lightning to beat them in a 7-game series? There's been some great stories. I think the Montreal Canadiens have been a great story with Martin St. Louis, but man, oh man, the Tampa Bay Lightning look fantastic in the Eastern Conference, and especially as they get healthy towards the postseason. So to me, the Leafs have to make a move. And more often than not, it's probably going to have to add something to the blue line. I think offensively they have enough. It's just they're going to need that depth in the blue line to handle a team like Tampa in the postseason.
And lastly, you're my go-to Toronto guy. Bo Bichette leaving on Friday. Were you surprised, and how do you feel about it?
I guess I'm a little surprised, but sometimes baseball fans and Toronto sports fans can be a little naive about the way of business of sports, the way it is now. And no matter what he did in his time in Toronto and all the heroics in the postseason and the Bo Bichette love affair, for Bo and his agent, it's business. This is a business decision. There's nothing against Toronto or the Blue Jays or the fans or anything. He got the best deal, the most money, and he took it. The Blue Jays are still defending American League champions. They've got a lot going for them. They've had a pretty good offseason, I think, so far. I mean, around here, I haven't seen people, like, they're counting down the days till pitchers and catchers arrive. We haven't seen that since the early 90s. It's been a long time, Rod. So why they'll miss him now, it'll be a great atmosphere from when the Mets are at Rogers Center, that's for sure.
Oh, how will he be received?
They'll probably cheer him at first, personally, because of who he is, until he gets like a double or a home run, then they'll boo him.
Yeah. Well, he's not the first to leave. He won't be the last. You're right.
No.
If we had more time, I would dig into, should Rogers be criticized for not keeping him? But we had viewers write in. I mean, it really ignited love for the Blue Jays amongst our viewer base. And they said, he's not worth the money. He's injured all the time. So it is what it is. People move on. And we are unfortunately out of time. But, Jim, this has been great, my friend. Enjoy the conference championships and the Super Bowl, and talk soon.
Thanks, Rod. You're the best. Appreciate it.
Our good friend Jim Lang, NFL pundit and multi-best-selling author. We'll be coming right back with a sports update and viewer takeover across the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.